All right, today we're going to talk about one of the most successful and honestly one of the most dangerous organisms on the entire planet. But this isn't some superbug from a far-off jungle or a deep-sea vent. Nope, this one lives right on you. So let's get a much closer look at the bug on your skin.
So, let me just start with a quick question for you. What superbug is living on the skin or up the nose of almost 1 out of every 3 people listening to me right now? Think about it. It's a microbe that, most of the time, is totally harmless, but it has the potential to be absolutely deadly. Any guesses?
Well, the answer is Staphylococcus aureus. And yeah, that number, 30%. That's how many of us are what we call carriers. It means for a huge chunk of us, this bacterium is just a regular, peaceful member of our body's ecosystem. But, and you knew there was a but coming, when it gets the right opportunity, it can cause some really, really serious trouble.
So, how can something so incredibly common also be so dangerous? Well, to figure that out, we've got to get to know this bug a little bit better. Let's dive into the basics of what really makes it tick.
Okay, so if you looked at staph bacteria under a microscope, you'd see these tiny little spheres that clump together like a bunch of grapes. It's actually pretty distinctive. They're what scientists call gram-positive cocci, and they are ridiculously versatile. I mean, they can live with or without oxygen, but what's truly wild is just how tough they are. They can grow in super salty conditions, which of course is exactly why our skin is such a perfect home for them. Now, staph isn't just one bug, it's a whole family, the Staphylococcus, and inside that family, there are 3 main members that doctors are always keeping a close eye on. And you can think of our main character, S. aureus, as the notorious ringleader of the group. So here they are, the key players. You've got S. epidermidis and S. saprophyticus. And yeah, they can cause infections, but they're mostly opportunistic. They need an easy opening. The one we're really focused on, the main event, is S. aureus. And the #1 way to identify it, the dead giveaway, is the coagulase test. See, S. aureus is coagulase positive, which means it has this crazy ability to clot blood. It's like its signature move, the one that tells scientists, yep, we found our culprit. So how exactly does a common skin bug level up to become a superbug? It all comes down to its arsenal. And believe me, S. aureus is loaded for bear. It's got an incredible collection of what we call virulence factors. These are special tools that let it invade our bodies, dodge our immune systems, and cause all kinds of disease. First up in its weapons cache are the enzymes. You can think of these as its invasion toolkit. These are proteins literally designed to break down our body's defenses, letting the bacteria spread where it shouldn't be and build little fortresses to keep itself safe. And these tools are so strategic, it's amazing. It's like a 3-step invasion plan. First, coagulase creates a shield out of our own blood clots, which lets the bacteria hide from our immune system. Then, hyaluronidase acts like a chemical blowtorch, dissolving our connective tissues so the bacteria can push deeper. And then, once it's time to expand its territory, fibrinolysin dissolves those very same clots, letting it escape and invade new places. Okay, so if the enzymes are the toolkit for breaking in, then the toxins? Well, the toxins are the heavy artillery. These are the weapons of mass destruction in the staph arsenal. We're talking about powerful poisons that directly attack our cells and can cause widespread systemic damage all through the body. And the damage they do is just devastating. Hemolysins literally explode our red blood cells. Leukocidin is a sniper. It specifically targets and kills our white blood cells, the soldiers of our immune system. The enterotoxins, you might know them, they're what caused that horrible, violent staph food poisoning. And then there's the most infamous of all, TSST1, the culprit behind the life-threatening condition we know as toxic shock syndrome. But maybe its most brilliant weapon is its ultimate disguise, something called protein A. This protein sits right on the bacteria's surface, and it works like an invisibility cloak. It actually grabs onto our own antibodies, but it holds them backward, by the wrong end. This completely messes up the immune system's targeting system, so it can't tag the bacteria for destruction. It's a brilliant and frankly terrifying act of biological trickery. So with an arsenal like that, it is no surprise that the consequences can be incredibly severe. A staph infection can be anything from a minor skin problem to a full-blown life-or-death crisis. Let's take a look at what that spectrum actually looks like. So over on the left, you've got the localized infections. This is the stuff a lot of us are familiar with, things like boils, infected cuts, maybe even a UTI.
But if the bacteria manages to break through our defenses and get into the bloodstream, that's when you get the systemic infections you see on the right. And now we're talking about bacteremia, infections of the heart lining called endocarditis, bone infections. This is the point where staph goes from being a local nuisance to a deadly body-wide threat.
Okay, so when a patient is really sick, how do doctors actually prove that S. aureus is the bad guy? Well, it takes some good old-fashioned microbiological detective work to catch this microscopic suspect red-handed. The process for nailing this culprit is pretty methodical. It all starts with getting a specimen, some pus, blood, whatever. A quick peek under the microscope can show those classic grape-like clusters. After that, the sample gets grown in a lab to see how it acts. But the real smoking gun, the final piece of evidence, is that coagulates test we talked about. If it comes back positive, that's it. Case closed. S. aureus is the culprit. You know, identifying the enemy is one thing, but defeating it, that's another challenge entirely. And treating staph infections has become one of the biggest headaches in modern medicine, mostly because the superbug is just so good at evolving to fight back. Now, antibiotics are our main line of defense, but there's a huge problem. The vast majority of S. aureus strains have figured out how to make an enzyme called beta-lactamase. And what this enzyme does is destroy many of our most common antibiotics, like penicillin. It just chews them up. That means doctors often have to pull out the big guns, stronger, last-resort drugs like vancomycin. And in the absolute worst-case scenarios, they might even turn to immunotherapy to try and boost the patient's own body to fight back. So why not just get a vaccine for it? Well, here's the kicker, and it's a pretty stunning fact. There isn't one. Unlike so many other bacterial diseases we deal with, there is currently no vaccine available to prevent staph infections. All the treatments we have are for after you're already sick. So if we can't vaccinate against it, what's our best defense against this incredible foe? It's not some high-tech new drug or a futuristic gene therapy. It's the basics. Diligent aseptic practices. That means rigorous hand washing, sterile techniques in hospitals, and just taking good care of wounds. Our number one defense is good old-fashioned hygiene. And that leaves us with a really crucial question. As this superbug continues to evolve, as it keeps finding new ways to outsmart our best medicines, are our most basic defenses, like washing our hands, really going to be strong enough to keep this microscopic threat at bay? That's a question we all need to be thinking about. Thanks for tuning in.